Game week 12 predictions are here. I keep saying finally because we're at this point now where international break takes up so much of the first part of the season that we're hopefully now on the last one, right, guys, until March. And so happy fucking day. We have game week 12, one of several coming up in the Premier League. If you're brand new to this channel, if you haven't done so already, do me a favor, like the video down below, subscribe. Every week we sit here, make previews and predictions for the weekly matches as part of the Premier League season. I'm joined as usual by Barca Boy 103, Maxi Gaming, Austin Forbes here today again to predict how we think these matches are going to go. Let's not waste any more time, fellas. Before we get into everything as usual, let's check in. Let's see how everybody's doing standings wise. Hoffman's been brought back down to even keel. Even keel. So very catchable now, I think, for anybody, which Austin and I are probably the best shot right now, but Max, it wasn't the greatest, bro. You were 2 and 3 last week.
2 and 5.
No, 2 and 3.
What do you mean 2 and 3?
He means like two predicted, 3 none.
Yeah, you got 2 right.
Oh, yeah,
right.
Yeah,
2 of the 5.
Yeah,
2 of the. Sorry. My bad.
Same shit.
I think I was the same as well.
Yeah,
I think I was only Arsenal Liverpool that I got right.
I said this is a hard week to predict because it was just like all top games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So.
I got 4 out of 5 for the first time this season. I'm this close to 5.
What did you miss out on?
Arsenal.
It was.
I got the Arsenal.
No, I got Arsenal right. It was. I got Brighton right.
Oh, it was Forest.
Yes, it was Forest losing to
Newcastle.
Newcastle.
That was the only one that got that right.
Oh,
Yeah. Forest losing to Newcastle. I thought at least they would draw, and Forest couldn't even do that at home. So yeah, here we are, guys. And as usual, at least as of recently, if you've been watching the last few weeks, we've had a trivia question to kick off every single episode. We just actually recorded our, I guess we'll call it like our trivia video. We had somebody here who definitely knows ball. You'll find out who they are when you go and watch. It's coming out on the channel later this week. So again, if you haven't done so, subscribe. All right, now coming into the weekly trivia question, I'm curious to see who's paying attention to what players are doing as recently as this summer. Let's tee it up. Since the start of the 2024 Euros this past summer, this player has 15 GA for club and country. Who is it?
Is it another United player?
Okay, guys, there's not an agenda, all right? I swear to God, there's not an agenda, bro.
Hey,
I know Austin called that last time.
Hey.
Euro, there's not an agenda.
Since 24 Euros, this player has. Hey,
so since the start of the season, pretty much. We're not going to preseason.
This smells like fucking Bruno. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Since the start of the 2024 Euros.
This smells like fucking Bruno.
15 GAs.
No, but it's not.
If it's United, I'm gonna lose it.
It smells like Bruno, but I don't think this is Bruno because Bruno didn't have a good Euro.
I know we all.
Oh, since the start of the Euro. Oh, okay. I'm thinking post Euros.
No, since the start of the 2024 Euros. 15 GA for club and country.
That's kind of shit, low-key.
Like, what? No, I don't know about shit. We're predicting the 12th week of the season so far. You have one major tournament on top of that. I don't know.
There's Prem, Champions League, Cup, friendlies, Euros.
Why do you assume that this player's playing all these competitions?
Yeah, that's true.
Hey, he's saying
it's like a center back, so I think it's.
Oh, okay. First off, you are playing in these competitions, so relax.
I mean, if it's like a center back or like a DM, then sure, but.
All right, guys.
You know what?
Okay.
I'm gonna say Rodri. I feel like injured players kind of where Jose's aiming at, so I'll say Rodri just for the bets.
What? An injured player agenda? All right, fair. Okay,
so an injured player. That's what I'm saying.
I don't really know, so I'm gonna stick with Bruno just because I'm just.
If it's Bruno, we're never doing this again. Just.
Well, Bruno was the last one, so I don't know if it'll be Bruno.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It has been 2 weeks since the last show, guys. It has been 2 weeks since the last one.
No, Bruno,
I don't know.
Austin?
Bruno didn't even get.
I don't think it is, but I'm gonna go Salah.
Salah. That's actually not a bad guess. All right, guys, ready to see it? Here we go.
Forward.
Somebody might have been right.
If it's Bruno, I swear to God.
Cody Gakpo.
Okay.
Cody Gakpo.
Okay, you know what? That makes sense.
Salah, I guess, is probably the closest one. And, it's the player who plays most opposite of him as of right now. I think so. When Hafid said 15 GA is kind of shit, I kind of disagree. I feel like 15 GA is not terrible.
Well, of the 15 GA, 5 of them are at the Euros. So that means he has 10 GAs this season. As you know, a substitute, in and out of the front line.
Wait,
that's not bad.
He only has 15 GAs, including like Champions League and FA Cup, and
That's what I mean.
I
This
feel
is
like
like
I feel like he scored a hat trick somewhere this year, and for
no,
Liverpool.
that was Luis Diaz.
No, I know it was Luis Diaz, but he fucking balled out. Unless it was Sunderland.
I think Gakpo was at a brace. I don't think I've seen him score a hat
I don't
trick. I
think
could
he
be
was.
wrong.
Yeah,
I
it
could be
was a
wrong.
brace, but like separate times though. I don't know, but
Yeah, but
hey,
yeah,
good for
it's 15
good for
total.
Cody Gakpo.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Gakpo's
but
doing decently well. I think for
for his
and of
role,
course,
yeah, it's not that bad.
it's reflected now. Of course, I guess you could say right with Liverpool's form, and kind of how they're performing. We'll talk about them more, not on this show specifically, because I think they have a very straightforward opponent this week. But anyway, let's move into our first match of the day. It is not the early one; it's the first of that mid batch, all the 9 a.m. Or 10 a.m. Eastern games. If you're here stateside, Bournemouth hosting Brighton. Okay. One team coming off of arguably one of the most epic wins in history for that club, right in Brighton, and then you have Bournemouth, who could not take advantage of an early lead in this game against Brentford, and lost 3-2. So going into this, I mean, look, 4 points separate them. Brighton, I'm curious how you guys feel about Brighton right now. Put the Man City win aside. I think Brighton have already shown us to be this team who, when any one of the big six steps up to them, they can raise their game and play at that level and sometimes get a win. So put the City game aside for a second. How do you feel about this team and their ability to not even just, I don't want to throw anything like a top 4 conversation for them out there just yet, but landing in a European spot? How realistic is that for this version of Brighton?
I think that'll be tough for them, especially in the long term as well. Because we're still a bit early in the season, and again, a lot of their points this season have been against the better teams in the league, opposed to the teams at their level or maybe below their level. But I think there's just too many teams that are better than them on paper, even though there is 6 right now. So I think that means they're in a conference spot or a Europa League spot. Let me just double check.
I think it's Europa.
It's conference. It's a conference.
Yeah, but it could be Europa depending on
who wins the FA Cup and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think that there's still 4 teams that are better than them in those kind of fighting positions. I think they probably will finish around 8th to like 11th. That's I think where I expect them to finish. But yeah, I think they have to really improve upon their consistency and also doing well against, again, like I mentioned, those teams that are equal to their level and below their level.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's fair.
I think they played down to their level quite a bit.
Yeah.
Or they play down to teams that are lower than them to their level like quite a bit. So and I think that's one of the issues. Like this game's a tough game to predict because it's. I mean, Bournemouth is a decent side, but and this match is like we expect Brighton to win this match, but Bournemouth took Arsenal even though Arsenal was a man down. They took down Arsenal. They played decent against Liverpool. And this is a home game for them. So, I mean, I feel like Brighton over the years they look good and then they haven't looked great and then they look good, they look decent. There's just no consistency, like Hoppin said. So I don't know if they'll finish, in the top 6, but they'll definitely be fighting for it, but I don't know if they'll finish it.
And I think the one thing with them is I think they leak too many goals. I think if you had I think they've given up more than most of the top 8, if I were to say. And you have Forest. I think they're going to be battling because you have Forest. I think they're going to fall out, but you still got like Newcastle and Villa and Tottenham just sneaking around there. I don't think they can get a Champions League or Europa, but I don't think it's out of the realm possibility they get a 6th or 7th, or maybe even 8th and go to the Conference League. So because I think 8th goes to the Conference League now.
Something like that depends on who, like if even United win the Europa League, that'll all change.
Yeah. Austin, that's your point. The top 10 right now, they've given up the most goals.
And to fuel that even further, right? This is on the road for Brighton. Something to keep in mind, right? For those who are pointing to the City game and thinking, yeah, that's of note, we should exclude that. Fine, but it was at home. It was at the Amex. On the road, they've only beaten Everton and Newcastle this season.
St. Park is no mean feat, though.
Yeah. It's fair. It's no matter what, it's going to be a tough game. I agree with Max. It's going to be very difficult to predict. I don't know why. I just don't see Bournemouth winning it. Like I could see a draw or Brighton winning it, and Brighton maybe just doing it on the back of just some good form against the best team of the last decade, arguably. I don't know. I just feel like when I watched, I didn't go back and watch the full game, but I tried to watch a good chunk of each half to see how the play developed. In that Bournemouth Brentford game, and that middle chunk where all the goals were conceded on both sides, it just minus the early goal. It just I don't know. I felt like it was too easy for at times for Brentford to do what they wanted to do, and I feel like Brighton's even more organized than Brentford at times. So I feel like it's going to be a draw. It smells like a draw. The only team that I can see winning is Brighton. I'm going to go with the draw.
I'm going to go Brighton. I think them having an international break after the City game, if they played right after the City game, I would lean towards maybe a draw or Bournemouth getting a shot. But I think having that break is going to help them reset.
I think the big thing for me is that Ryan Christie has a red card. So we got a red card the last match, so he won't be playing this match. And Semenyo there's a chance he won't play, which are two big players for Bournemouth. So that heavily favors Brighton to win this game. So obviously it's still too early to know if Semenyo's going to play, but if Semenyo doesn't play, I mean, this game should be in the bag for Brighton. Semenyo's been their best player this year. He's put a lot of carry on them. So
Yeah,
I'm just gonna go with Brighton on this one because I'm gonna take the chance that Semenyo's not gonna play, and Ryan Christie's already got a red card.
Fair enough.
So he won't play.
I feel like I'm gonna back Bournemouth. I don't know why, but I really gotta go against the curve a little bit. I don't know. I just really rate Iraola as the manager. Like I think the point that kind of turned me over was I think Austin mentioned this is post international break, and post international break, I think everything just kind of goes out the window.
Yeah.
So with Bournemouth having that home advantage, I think on paper, both fully strength, I would say they're quite even. I would favor Brighton just a little bit, but not at a considerable margin where I would put them as clear favorites for this game. Of course, if you consider form, they would be. But yeah, I don't know why. Vitality Stadium, nice and small. I'm gonna back the Cherries, as they call it.
The Cherries. All right, with a nice group of American investors, by the way. All right, so we have everybody's picks, right? We have Bournemouth. Max, what'd you say?
I picked Brighton.
Brighton.
So two Brighton's a draw and a Bournemouth. So someone's winning.
Someone's winning. Someone's winning. All right. On to the next one, fellas. Again, in that same 10 a.m. Eastern block, we got Arsenal hosting Forest. Interesting time to be hosting Forest, right? They stand right now as a top 5 team, a team right beneath us in the table. Coming off of a weird. I know Austin hates Forest. Fine, I get the hater, bro. Like Forest isn't a great team. They're overperforming still, in my opinion, even with the Newcastle loss, still very much in that mode of maybe overperforming, which should be scary for any side like Arsenal, who's underperforming, who's on a negative bounce, despite I'll even ignore the context of us playing Liverpool, Inter, anybody else in between, the strength of the opponents that we've had. But no matter what, still 4 in a row now, right? Where we haven't gotten the full 3 points. So considering all of that, I'll give my take here in a second as the Arsenal fan. But for you guys, right, the either neutrals or haters, you guys know who you are. How do you look? What do you take away from that draw with Chelsea? And does it make you either more confident or more nervous looking at Arsenal at home against a team like Forest?
I mean, this is Forest, guys. Let's take it. Take a chill. Hey, this now that the international break's over, we're gonna start seeing Forest. I think they have a lot of hard games coming up too. We're gonna see a dip in form from Forest. So, to take away from the Chelsea game, I think that was just a highly competitive match. Odegaard was, he was finally back, but it was a highly competitive match from 2 good sides, and I think Arsenal got a decent point from the match, and that's really it. I mean, but I'm not gonna they bounce all the way back to 4th place, and what, you're like 7 points away from first now, 6 points,
something along those lines.
6, 7. So
Yeah.
you're not too far off, but I mean, this is
9.
9. Yeah, that's okay. I mean, This is a
You're
this
so
is a much.
okay. I mean, we're not even
We're
a little bit
not
more
We're
than
not even a
equal
third of the way
there.
in the season yet.
We're not even a third away. So this is a must-win match for Arsenal. I think they will win. I mean, obviously, I hope not because
Arsenal hater in the house. Woo woo.
you didn't know if you haven't noticed from like the last 12 episodes.
If you're brand new to the channel, by the way, subscribe down below. But yeah,
But-
I agree. I agree.
But Odegaard's back. I think Arsenal's pretty much fully healthy. Besides Ben White's out for the next couple of months. Next
Oh, is he?
7,
yeah,
7
about 10
weeks.
weeks. He just had surgery. So
Yeah, so
yeah. The good news is Calafiori and
and Timber can play right
Tomiyasu
back.
are finally coming back, and Timber's healthy already. So there's
So
some
he'll
cover,
be-
but
he'll be-
I still
he'll be
feel like
fine.
Ben White gives us a lot.
Yeah, but I think he'll be all right for now. So
It's enough to beat Forest.
it's enough to be Forrest. I think Forrest had a magical run, but like at some point, magical runs end.
Only thing scares me about
That's-
Forest is like in transition when you watch them, they actually have some decent players that that cause havoc, right? You have Morgan
do,
White,
they
you have
do. And
Hudson-Odoi, Alonga, like the combination of those guys when they're like balling and when they're free flowing, it actually is, in my opinion, watching them hard to stop. But that's the trick is getting them all in sync.
Yeah, and Chris Wood's been on fucking fire. I think
Dude, insane.
he scored almost in the last 4 games, at least a goal in the last 4 games, something like that. So, but I think Arsenal will take this.
We should. I agree with everything you said, by the way, in terms of it being a must-win for the Arsenal. I think I don't know, man. I think Odegaard, sure, coming back, it still makes me nervous that we're so reliant on one player. I'll be frank. I think that part is the scary part.
That's the necessity when it comes to players of his caliber for almost any top team.
Same with Man City with Rodri, you know.
Same thing with Rodri, and even when KDB
one piece just.
But even when KDB went down, you could still see offensively like there's something missing. So and you can tell when Bruno's not playing. I mean, there's nobody's creating shit when Bruno doesn't play. As much as we don't like Bruno taking, the 50-50 balls a lot of times, but like there wasn't much going on when he wasn't playing. So like you can see players like that caliber are needed for top teams.
Yeah. Again, I think that's really just gonna have to like sell me. I think no matter what, tomorrow is even if we can't sit here and predict like what we really think the result will be in a tricky game, kind of a trap game for Arsenal. I at a minimum want to see what we saw in the second half of last season, just free flowing football. Let that be how we play. There really can't be an excuse at home, regardless of where Force in the table today. We know who they are, right? And we have to. We cannot play Simeone ball at the Emirates against Nottingham Forest. Like there's no fucking way we can do that. It has to be
Simeone balls against that.
It has to be. It has to be who we know Arsenal to be over the last 2 title runs. So that's all I'm gonna really say there. I'm predicting the Arsenal to win.
Anyone not predicting an Arsenal win?
Yeah. Anybody going Forest besides Max?
Is Max actually blocking in Forest?
No, I don't know.
After really thinking about it,
I'm hoping they win, but I ain't losing the point here.
My tactic for this Arsenal this season remains the same.
Oh my god!
Win you win, lose they win, lose you win. It's a
I hate that, bro.
Situation.
Honestly,
you
I
know
hate
how
that
pissed I would
be happy about shit no matter.
You know how pissed I would be if let's say I'm going for 5 out of 5 and I get 4 out of 5 because I predicted a draw and Arsenal win like 5-0. I'd be fuming.
I mean, after really, really thinking about it deeply, Arsenal's gonna win.
And Austin's in the opposite, bro. He's like, you'll never see me. This is easy for him. You'll never see me cheering for Forest. So
I will never. They could be playing #United in the FA Cup, and I think # would win.
That's
Don't
crazy.
forget the hashtag it, lads.
Jose, let me ask you this:
They lost like 5-0.
If you don't come away with 3 points, are you in panic mode?
Yes.
Ooh.
And I'm not panicking so hard.
Inject it.
I'm not panicking so hard that I'm screaming Arteta out. In fact, I don't think I ever will. I think I've survived the Wenger out era. I don't think it's going to be anywhere.
Were you never Wenger out?
No.
That's crazy.
Mainly because of what he stands for.
Like, no, don't worry. I was Wenger in too. Don't worry.
Mainly because of what he stands for the club, I think when you have that
let me rephrase it. You think it was time for him to,
Oh yeah, for sure. But I was never advocating for him to get fired.
Okay, that's bad.
I wouldn't.
I'll kind of add on before you kind of say this, Jose. If Arsenal lose and Liverpool's playing Southampton, so pretty much they're going to win. You're 12 points behind the title.
Mhm.
Like,
And Pep just renewed
surely
his
a
contract.
title race over. I know it's early, but 12 points is a lot.
I would say by Christmas, if they're 12 points behind, I think that's when it's over.
I would say if we were double-digit points behind by Christmas, I would agree with Austin saying it's over. I think at that point. I think for me, I don't even want to I'm at a point where I don't even want to talk about odds to win the title because we're 11 weeks in, right? Like there's so much that could change. Like I think if you're talking about it now, you're either clickbaiting or you haven't watched this game long enough to understand how it works. So I'm just waiting, buying my time. It doesn't look great. I think if they can pick it up now because of the run of games we have coming, Arsenal is a very favorable schedule now, getting a lot of the heavy hitters out of the way early for the most part.
Exactly. That's also a good thing to point out in regards to points. Arsenal just had a really tough run of like 4 or 5 games. Now they have an easy 5 runs, so they can close the gap then. Any points drop for them now till Christmas is.
Yeah, it doesn't take the pressure off. It's just why I'm just not. That's not why I'm having I don't want to have the conversation on who's the favorite to win the title. I think it's too early to talk about Liverpool, City, or Arsenal winning it, or anybody else for that matter. Somebody were to creep up.
Well,
if you look at
kinda,
it, from now till Christmas, Arsenal's only decent test is against United. That's at home as well, where they tend to do pretty well against United. It's where at Old Trafford where they struggle.
That'd be a good game. Amorim has a lot to prove. They'll be in that new manager bounce, right?
Yeah.
Like
Apart from that, it's Ipswich.
Liverpool's run into the New Year's pretty favorable too. They have to play City, and I think, Spurs. Like that's their 2 hardest games. So until they play United, first game of the new year, so it's about relatively equal runs.
To be fair,
Which
now
I don't
that
know the
now
runs
that I'm looking at
after.
it, Arsenal do have some difficult away games. Craven Cottage, London Stadium, Selhurst Park. So those could be a little bit of a banana skin moments. But on paper, they're facing like lower half of the table opposition. So.
Yeah, if there was a time to let Ben White get healthy, to figure out like what the move is going to be, sporting director wise, potential January signing wise, to figure out some of those pieces. I'm not saying it's a completely just easy free play for Arsenal, but these are the runs of games where all of this becomes possible. So get back on track. We have one of these moments every year, this chunk of games where we completely drop off in form. Everyone's screaming title race is over. I just need us to get back right to what we were and kind of use that as a springboard moving forward. But we'll see. It starts with Forest. I think we can win. So if it's a clinical 2-0, I'll take that and run. We get everybody's here, right? Arsenal. Is that how we're going?
I said Arsenal,
Yeah.
All right, let's go. Everton hosting Brentford. Tricky game, in my opinion. Because this game is actually really interesting. If you look at Brentford and Everton historically, regardless of kind of how last week's results went, I think Everton haven't lost to Brentford since like I guess the last 4 or 5 games, since 2022. And at that time, it was at home the last time they lost, and Brentford won 3-2. And I don't know why I can't shake this feeling that could be how it goes this time. But it has been 4 straight games without defeat for the Toffees. So
is this the last game for Everton at home at the current stage?
No, they're not
I don't
moving
think
until the
they're
new
open.
year.
yeah,
They're moving until the next season. Yeah.
So got a little bit of time.
They may play the last home game of this season there potentially, but I think the plan is to move over then.
Yeah. I mean, look, man, I feel like Everton should have every reason, right, to create a little bit of separation at the bottom of the table. A very, I would say, decently open Brentford team, not someone who's like very strong defensively. Does have some playmakers, some absolute ballers, but so do Everton. This could be a very close game, man. At home, I don't know how much motivation there is there with how much is left on that field. But what do you guys think? How do you feel about this one?
Oh, I got back my Everton lad, surely. Sean Dyche,
yep.
McNeil masterclass.
I don't know why I feel like this is gonna be a McNeil game.
Oh,
it just has it written all. I feel like it's gonna be the McNeil and Bumo show. You know what I mean? Like,
to be honest,
we're
for
gonna
me,
get
this has a draw written all over it. But I just cannot not back Everton. Just because like they're kind of like my bogey team, they're just my dogs.
Yeah, they haven't drawn since 2022, since August of that year.
But I think like the home advantage, both teams being quite even on paper. I think Brentford a lot of the times this season they relied on their system and tactics to win games. Like the scoring the the goals in like the first 2 minutes in like 4 or 5 consecutive games, wherever it was. So I believe they relied a lot on. I think Thomas Frank has kind of been like the 12th man for them. How he sets them up, how they play, how he gets players that perfectly fits the way he wants to play. So I think the system kind of helped him a lot this season. But I'm backing Everton simply for vibes. Yeah.
I'm back in.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I'm back in Everton. Just the fact that Brentford aren't the best team playing away from home. So, yeah, and I think they kind of overperformed a little bit this season. But and yeah, I'm just gonna back Everton. The vibes. Nick McNeil.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
My whatchamacallit, Sean Deutsch is he needs to get out from the bottom or
Oh, he's like 3 points off the bottom, isn't he? Let me check. I think he's 3 points off.
That's
3
3
points off. He's
points.
good.
He's teetering.
Roller coaster, roller coaster.
Again, still early.
It's
Still early.
still early, but it's a little worrying. So I don't know. Go ahead. Go ahead, Austin.
If you look at this is interesting. If you look at Brentford's last 5 games, it was 3-2, 2-1, 4-3, 2-1, 5-3. Ton of goals. Everton's last 5 games, 0-0,
It's like 0-0, 1-1.
1-1.
They've like tripled their
2-0,
output, bro. It's
and
crazy.
0-0.
Yeah.
So I don't know
noticed that
what's
too.
going to happen in this game.
Yeah.
I mean, Brentford's only drawn once. Everton's drawn a lot of times. Like, I just feel like Brentford's going to have too much attacking. And I don't know. I don't think Everton can get in a goal fest and win. And so, I mean, I don't think this is going to be a goal fest because it's a different Everton team than they started at the beginning of the year. But I think Brentford's going to win.
And I'm going to agree with Austin, actually. I'm going to take Brentford. I agree with Max's point about away, but like they've had like one of the toughest away schedules so far. It's been City, Tottenham, United, Liverpool, I think Fulham. So I think maybe that's a little bit at play there too. But I kind of agree. I'm going to go with who I consider to be the more exciting team right now. I'm going to say Brentford. So 2-2 split, man. 2-2 split. We'll see how it goes. Now, in my opinion, some people can argue. I think this is probably the game of the weekend, right? City hosting Tottenham. I think it'll be really, really interesting, right? We talked about whether or not City is in fact in crisis mode. I think we all kind of agreed that they're nearing that point, but not quite there yet, just because of who they are and what they've shown us in recent seasons when it comes to their ability to fight back, right? Whether it's on the table over the course of a big part of the season or just in one-off games. With that said, 4 negatively on the bounce now. They get Tottenham, who seems to be, I would say them and United just seem to have City's number. If there were ever a team to do that across multiple competitions domestically, it's usually one of those two. So a weird time for them to be getting this version of City. With that said, they did lose to Ipswich. So at home. So take that shit for what it's worth. The international break could not have come at a more perfect time for Spurs fans. And arguably the same thing for City, right? After having the 1-0 lead on Brighton, not throwing it away, but fantastic comeback by Brighton. And they're here now. So I don't know, man. Is Tottenham going to do it again? You guys, anybody back in Spurs because it just seems to be a safe bet, at least in recent seasons?
Hell no.
They got their win again in the FA Cup. That's all they're getting.
Yeah, but I mean, hey, they cry before the international break. They're gonna cry right after.
Oh man, I don't know, man.
Because it's weird. Because like we were talking about City being in crisis mode, and of course, news just came out about Pep getting extended. So I don't know what to think. Is it like, well, he wants to go out on a high, and he doesn't think this season will be it? So he's going to do another year.
It feels like some good PR at a time when they're battling a major court trial and negatively 4 on the bounce. It feels like some good PR.
Yeah. So I'm not really sure, but I think it will help. I think it's not a new manager bounce, but it's kind of like it, because at least they kind of know what's coming. But I just don't think. It's just Spurs. Sometimes you just never know what you're going to get with them, and I mean, they've had really good performances. I mean, they smoked Aston Villa and West Ham, and then they lose to Ipswich. Like, they can't be this up and down to beat City. And even though City's lost 4 on the bounce, new international breakover, I just think City's going to win. It's also at the Etihad.
I may
Okay,
be wrong, but
yeah.
I think there's a word to describe what you're saying.
Oh wait,
What's the
It's
word?
by the
this
way,
the
but
history of the
wait, by the way, you need to change that logo because that's not the same
I don't give
logo
a
anymore.
shit
Yeah.
about that club. I honestly do not care. They're gonna stay that fucking same way the whole season. I don't care.
It's not gonna bring him a trophy.
Yeah. It's not gonna change anything for how Spursy. That's the word I was looking for. How Spursy that club is. So yeah, man. Austin. All that to say, it is kind of a wild card game. I agree with you. You back Tottenham, or you think City does?
City. I
Yeah,
think City won.
they get back on
I
track.
think Holland get back on track.
Yeah, I think this is a game where they get back on track. They starting to notice that Liverpool's it's obvious, we know it's so early, but Liverpool are creating a tiny little gap between them.
Yeah.
Not gonna make a difference, but they this is the game that they have to get back on track, and I think it's more of a booster for the team, a morale booster because they've been struggling obviously since Rodri went down. Now getting a win at home against Spurs, who they lost to in the EFL Cup, I think it'll be more of a good morale booster for the squad. So
Interesting. All right. So we got 3 cities. I'm gonna go with the draw. I'm not gonna take Spurs because not just because I am an Arsenal fan, but also because who's taking Spurs after that loss to Ipswich? But I will say that I don't know. I almost need a performance from City that I see them break this duck and I see them get over just some of the demons of these this negative bounce that they're on. But I don't know. I have to see it first. International break can be a fantastic thing when you're in a negative run of form. But it can also just delay the inevitable. I've seen some teams take a little bit longer to bounce back to what we know them to be. So I'm going to go with a draw just also because there's a history between these two teams. I feel like Ange will somehow find a way to pull something out of his ass for this one. So yeah, we'll find out. Both teams live with more than a few injuries. International break might have been decently serving. We'll see. City without Rodri playing Tottenham, who they've already lost to in a different competition this season. We'll find out, man.
what do
And
we
finally,
go ahead. Before we move on? What do we think of Savinho so far this season? Has he kind of lived up to what we thought he would, or is it still too
No.
early?
He's performing well, just not he's not getting
Yeah, he's
not
just
getting
not
goals.
getting the end product.
Yeah.
I think if you compare him to every winger City has brought in recent seasons and like the starts that they've had to the season, I will say it feels a little slow. It feels a little slow for me. I think he's a good player. You can see it with the eye test, right? When you watch him play, you can see the movements he's making, the passes, him finding Holland at times, whatever it may be. He does it well, like fairly well. It's like what I expect out of him. But he's not changing the game for City, in my opinion. Like he doesn't, he isn't like this lightning bolt that you could just kind of throw out there and he'll find a way to create a spark.
But what have those previous wingers had that he does not have?
I think maybe it's pure speed and the likes of Doku. I think Doku, the criticism was always finishing. It wasn't his ability to get down and kind of beat players 1v1 with his speed, with his agility. Mahrez to me was significantly more of just a forward presence. Like you felt him in and around the box. He was always a threat.
But Riyad had Premier League experience and
fair. But
he had much more refined.
But even coming into Leicester, I still think again maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's the fact that other players around Savinho outshine him a little bit. I guess in this day and age.
And he doesn't have arguably their best player. I mean, voted the best player in the world.
Yeah,
and KDB's been out, so does that help him?
Yeah, and Foden's not. And no one's talking about Foden. You know, Foden playing as bang average as he's fucking playing. Like you have all these things, and Savinho's kind of being looked at as like I'm saying it now, like he hasn't been impressive because he hasn't individually. But right now, attacking wise, you really can't say that about anybody on City. Like no one's being very impressive. They're not scoring very many goals. They're not creating a ton of chances. And Savinho his numbers are suffering because of that. So that's a good question, though. It's a good question. All right, lads. So 3-1. We'll see how it all goes. If I get some big numbers in the predictions this week, this will be the reason why this fucking game. All right, and then the Monday
Pep renewal, the Rodri Ballon d'Or presentation. They're cooked, man. They're cooked.
And then the Monday evening game, which is an interesting one, at least from my perspective. I will be watching Newcastle hosting West Ham. Man, Newcastle, look, I know they beat Arsenal, right? Crazy one-off game. I think that worked well for them when they weren't playing that well. Go to Nottingham Forest, who were top 4 at the time of the game being played. They get the job done away at Forest. Are we seeing Eddie Howe's Newcastle come back a little bit?
Yeah, they picked up a little bit of form. They won 3 in a row.
Yeah, and difficult games as well. Forest away, who are doing well. Arsenal at home. So, I think the black and white army is coming back a little bit.
Toon Army.
Toon Army. They dealt a lot of injuries last season. Who can they not afford to lose right now?
Probably Isak, for being honest.
Isak, yeah.
And the rumors of Isak
or
exiting
Bruno.
in January.
Bruno.
How will that work?
Is there rumors to where?
Arsenal's the biggest club being linked to him at the moment.
Bruh, no top 6 team is making moves. No top 6 team is making moves.
Again, we'll find out. I'm not ruling anything out until it actually comes and goes. But for the purposes of conversation, and maybe it's not us, maybe it's again someone else. Either way, whether it's January or the summer, what does that do for everything Newcastle's trying to put in place right now? Because they don't really have a credible guy off the bench that can do what Isak can do. They'll have to go to the market most likely, right? So
well, they do, but he's injured. Your boy Callum Wilson.
Bro, he's always injured. Callum Wilson, his entire career is nothing.
I mean, but
that's what I'm saying. Like that's gonna be the case multiple times down the road.
He's a decent little striker, though.
Yeah. No, I agree. He's scrappy as hell. I think Wilson is like exactly what you want him to be, and he can still, when he's healthy, score goals.
I wonder where his injury is, out of curiosity.
Nobody knows anymore, bro. He's up there. No. He's up there with Luke Shaw. Like they're
whoa. Hold on, man. Luke Shaw's in a realm of his own.
They're in adjacent hospital beds, just living the life. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like they're taken care of.
Just an oddball player that they can't lose right now is Lewis Hall.
I think it's an interesting show. Yeah. I'll hear that.
I know they have Trips, but I think they've been playing Hall opposite of Trips. But
Trippier hasn't really been that impressive in the last 12 months anyway.
And so I think like when Newcastle were really on, it was their fullbacks that especially drove, and I think Lewis Hall right now is playing better than probably anyone on that team, arguably.
Yeah, fair. I think he's doing well. I think Gordon is finally getting up to speed. Like, he started the season off pretty damn slow. Harvey Barnes what we expected him to be, but I feel like they're getting their pieces flowing a little bit, and it's turning into results. And now at St. James's Park, they're hosting West Ham, who are coming off of their own draw to Everton at home. 0-0. God, I didn't even watch the game, but that just sounds boring as hell. Watching a 0-0 draw between West Ham and Everton, I can't lie.
This game, I think, is going to be the end of Lopetegui, and he'll be the second manager.
I was gonna say, this is his last game he's gonna be managing.
Well, with that being said, I'm gonna predict Newcastle to win. So, not regarding.
They should, right? Like in my opinion, they should. I don't know. Like we look at West Ham, and look, it's to me, Monday night games are also weird. I will say that. I don't know why Monday night games.
Monday night games are definitely weird.
They're just fucking weird, man.
Monday night and Friday night games are always games.
I honestly hate when Arsenal has to play either one of those days. I fucking hate it. I'd rather not.
I told you, United's record when I had to wake up at 6, 7 a.m. on a Saturday is not good.
And you're the first game of the day. That'll be Chelsea. So everybody say everybody cross their fucking fingers.
Not good.
Don't they have the early kickoff against Ipswich this weekend?
Yeah, they do.
No, but I'd rather it's Leicester. It's Leicester this weekend.
No, it's Leicester and Chelsea.
It's Leicester. Yeah.
So Austin will be up early. I'm sure, happy as a clam in the group chat. We'll find out. I'm hoping.
Yeah, for our old manager to kick our ass. Yeah.
Hey, have some faith, bro. You'll get the King Power, right? You'll get the King Power.
The guy that set up this team is about to kick our ass.
Not a little revenge arc for Leicester. Don't rule that out.
And I hope Cooper gets sacked.
I want to wake up to Leicester being up 2-0 with 30 to play, and I just want to see that game.
Like 2 red cards because that's the only thing we'll be up 2-0 in.
But anyway, how we feel like this game's going to go, man. I know Hoppet said Newcastle. I'm actually inclined to say the same thing. I think until West Ham proves to me that they can actually be viable in games, although the last win did come against Max's boys in United. But outside of that, Lopetegui did win against United, so hold that up.
Who doesn't win against United though? Let's be honest.
It was 10
Leicester.
United. It was 10
Hey,
United.
that decision probably could have.
It saved your team. It saved your team.
It could save. Yeah, really.
I'm
really
only
go a
in
long
now.
way this season.
Lopetegui, let's show him some respect, bro. Some respect.
Seeing when Amorim gets sacked in like May and then Lopetegui comes in to replace him.
Bro, that is not happening. I can tell you shit for free. It's not happening. All right.
It's not.
Anybody back in West Ham out of curiosity?
I can't. This is like
No.
they're just not good. And Kudos can't play this game either because he got like a straight red, right?
Yeah.
It's 3-game ban. Yeah, I think this is the last
Yeah.
game. that
This
he
is the
can't
third,
play.
right?
Yeah, I think this is his third game.
I think
Yeah.
it's the third game.
Let me check because he got the red card against Spurs, right?
Actually, didn't he get 4?
No, I thought
No,
it was
I think
3. It could be 4.
I think you
No.
know what? I think he's right. I think it was 3
think-
on top of the 1 ban.
Because he did something really bad. I forgot what I can't remember.
I mean, he literally straight up like punched 2 people in the face, basically.
Yeah.
Like,
I
in the face, both
I
of
think
them.
his red got upgraded.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I-
look, right here.
Or
his
downgrade,
ban-
man, how you
His
say
ban
it.
extended to 5 games. He cannot come back until
Yeah.
against Leicester City. Whoa.
Of course.
Of course.
God.
How ironic.
That is ironic. But yeah,
5
man,
games
look,
in, that's crazy.
I
Yeah.
hate this league. I hate my team.
yeah.
God.
No full crew.
Austin,
no
you're staying in the
kudos.
leagues. Just don't worry. Be happy. That's bottom line.
Because
Yeah.
there's somehow 3 teams worse than us.
They're
Hey,
literally
man,
going to
game
be
is game.
hoping for a combination of Bowen and Mikel Antonio to do something in this game. Otherwise, it will be Newcastle taking it at St. James Park. So I think we're all in consensus there.
Yeah.
All right, man. Look,
Newcastle.
that's it. Those are our predictions for this week. If you haven't done so already, do me a quick favor. Like the video down below. Subscribe to the channel. Game week 12, I need a lot of us actually need a little bit of help to catch Tahafid, who is back down at 500. We'll see how the results stack up.
On the
week
rest,
over
I
here.
predicted no draws this weekend, so that's a gamble.
To be honest, I
that's
think
crazy.
I think
Anybody
you and
pick a
I
draw?
picked every single. I think you and I picked every single pick together. I think.
Man, so you can go down the same
No,
shit.
I went Bournemouth. You didn't go Bournemouth.
Oh yeah.
I always have one. I always have one.
So I get to go 5 and 5. You get to go 4 and 5.
Hey man, we'll see.
All right, man. Let's get out of here. For everybody here at the round table, my name's Jose. That's Hafid. That's Max. That's Austin. We'll catch you guys next time.